Today's session is based on making the most of university. Obviously, that's quite a broad concept. So I've kind of put the strapline: nail the strategy, nurture the culture, and then access the gold mine. So I think that at the stage you're at now, that should be what you're kind of looking for towards the future. The different types of opportunities that you come across throughout your 3 years and more. There's obviously probably a lot more, but I've kind of grouped together different items within each of these areas. I would say at this point in time, it would be good if you had potentially been covering a couple of these. The ones who are really, really good and really looking ahead already will be looking at 5 and 6. If not, don't worry, you're still in your first year, second years. So at this point, you should be looking at, okay, these are the opportunities. How can I access these? How can I go forward? What are the different aspects of what I'm interested in? So I'm kind of just going to go through each one and talk about maybe some of my experiences of what I did within the areas, and maybe give you some ideas about what you want to do going forward. So I suppose the first question is, I'd like kind of just a show of hands really on each of the different topics. So volunteering wise, has anyone done volunteering here in the past? That's great. Does anyone want to share what type of volunteering they've got? Anyone down here?
In a youth club.
Youth club, yeah. What were you doing?
Basically just monitoring activities and setting up sports sessions.
All right, great stuff. And yourself?
Cricket coaching. I started like 2 summers ago. Well, I did it for 2 summers. But...
Oh, great. What was that in the UK?
Yeah, in the UK.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so that's obviously there's different ranges there, and volunteering can come in all types of different shapes and forms. One of the key things that Leeds Met, I think, do better than pretty much any other university I've actually seen in the UK is the international volunteering programs. I'm not sure if any of you have actually come across this yet, heard about this, but across the year they send over 15 different groups of students across Asia, Europe, the Middle East, North America, and you can do everything from looking after turtles in Greece all the way to doing sports coaching in Sri Lanka. So I feel like there's something there for everybody. This time last year I was actually in Sri Lanka. It was something that I always wanted to do. I probably shouldn't have done it in my 3rd year because I put it right in the middle of my 3rd year, which was obviously quite a challenge trying to fit working around that. But it just shows that if you want something hard enough, you can still do it even if the time limits are there. Volunteering in the UK, obviously there's endless opportunities, absolutely endless opportunities. As you spoke about, the sports coaching side, I went on the Leeds Met Sport website the other day, and I found over 40 opportunities that are currently available to students out there. And this isn't just sports related, so you're looking at PR, football coaching, graphic designers, photography, and that's over 40 opportunities that are out there right now. So for those of you who aren't volunteering right now, on your doorstep, it took me about 30 minutes to find 40 opportunities, and trust me, there's a hell of a lot more than that as well. So it's something to try and keep in mind when you are trying to look for these opportunities. Part-time work. You're about 6 months in, I suppose, now, so after kind of going to Oceania every Wednesday and having takeaways, I suppose your bank balances might be getting low. Is anyone struggling with money at the minute? No? Well, yeah, I see. It's more like it. Yeah, it does become difficult at uni. I mean, you do spend a lot of money on things that you probably don't need at times, and probably too much beer, I imagine, and vodka. So part-time work is usually a good way to get some extra income. So how many of you actually do have a part-time job? 3 of you. And how many of you have signed up to the job shop? You've never heard of the job shop? Okay. So another thing what I did the other day is I went on Leeds Met website, I searched part-time jobs. First thing that came up was Leeds Met has a job shop. All right? This is what I did when I was at university. Leeds Met tailor part-time work to every single student's needs. Over the course of the year, they set up thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, all set up for student work. Now, what they do is you go in for a quick chat, quick interview, and you take along your details, such as your passport, just to prove who you are. You are a student at Leeds Met, and because you are, they'll open that gateway to all the employers in the area, as well as Leeds Met work of its own, such as the student ambassadors you might see around. Now, number one, it's probably higher paid than most part-time jobs that you're doing now. You're looking at it's more than your Tesco's and Asda and that type of thing. Another thing is it gives you every week you update your timetable. So basically, if you were free on a Monday morning, Wednesday afternoon, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, you let them know. Because of that, they'll give you a call, send you an email. Hey Gareth, I've got student ambassador work on Friday. Do you want to show around some potential A-level students who are interested in the university? It's the easiest work, as long as you are obviously got the right attitude about it. But it's also, it builds so much credibility for you in the university. Once you start working for the university as well, already employees are looking ahead thinking, oh, well, he's not just a good student, the university have actually hired him to represent the university. I mean, it's something that, if you haven't heard of right now, it's something that you really should look into. Even if it's not just for the cash, it's for them the experience, the professional development side of things. So that could be something that you kind of look for going forward. Summer jobs. Question for Nick and Casey, I suppose. How long do they get off this summer? How many weeks do we know?
Probably about 8, I would imagine.
8 weeks.
Longer, actually, if you finish in May.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, much longer. They finish probably.
Sometimes it's up to about 12 weeks, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
12 weeks. So 12 weeks holiday. How many of you have thought about that 12 weeks holiday? Yeah. And how many of you have already decided what you're doing during them 12 weeks? What are you guys doing?
Hopefully going travelling. So.
All right.
Doing camp leaders in America.
Good on you, mate. Anybody else? No, what are you doing? What are you doing in summer?
I'm working volunteering extra days at the job that I work now.
All right, great stuff. So for the rest of you, you don't currently have plans for 12 weeks of the year that's coming up in a few months' time. Now, you're in quite a good position because it's only January. So that means that the opportunities that are there in the summer are readily available for you to still access. I've put up here, obviously, the Commonwealth Games of this year. The opportunity to work at the Commonwealth Games would be fantastic. While I was at uni, a few students, quite a lot of the students actually I knew, worked at the Olympic Games in London. I was supposed to work at them, but I was working away somewhere else. But it's something that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And while at uni, because you have that long stretch of time off, you should really utilise that as best as possible. After my first year, similarly to you, I did camp leaders. So I went off to Texas and worked at a special needs camp. Made quite a good impression because by the time I got back, I started working for Camp Leaders, the brand. So another one of my part-time jobs when I came back was I was a person who was in Leeds interviewing the local people who were applying for the job. So that kind of helped me on two folds. I was increasing my network dramatically day by day. Plus, I was also given the opportunity to operate on social media, market the brand across the university campus. And that kind of linked all the way just from doing a summer job. Employers know, trust me, how much time you guys get off every summer. So in a couple of years' time when you graduate and they say to you, what did you do after your first year? If you don't kind of have anything to show for it, that's already a slight worry in their mind. I don't want to scare you, but it's just something to kind of take into account when you do go forward. If you were in their shoes and you found out that somebody had done 12 weeks spare and hadn't really done a lot, you would already be questioning their motivations for future work and their attitude going forward. I've put another area here called conferences. At Leeds, especially, and just as a student in general, there's endless opportunities for you to improve, both professionally, academically, and socially as well. Some of the things that I've kind of highlighted here, what kind of fall in this bracket are your seminars, CPD workshops, networking events, professional workshops. Something I've kind of highlighted here is Carnegie conversations. Has anyone heard of a Carnegie conversation yet? No? Okay. This is another thing that I found yesterday on the Leeds Met website. I was actually quite lucky enough to attend quite a lot of these conferences last year. So I'll name some of the people that I both met and obviously kind of look up to now because they give really inspirational speeches. I met Steve Cram, Stuart Lancaster, Gareth Davies, Kevin Sinfield, and I know that this month Jason Gillespie's on as well. Now all of those people are instrumental in the sports that they do and have had absolutely amazing success both in the sports world and the business world. So for the kind of courses that you're doing now, there's potentially nobody better to meet than these types of people. The leadership qualities that they kind of showed and what they did in these workshops was absolutely amazing. And the best thing is, as a student, you get these all for free. Now, the company I work at now, called Hanson Wade, we run conferences and events. Trust me, once you leave as a student and you try to go to these type of conferences, it's a very different playing field altogether. These are kind of a couple of different companies that I worked at while I was at uni. We've got Camp Leaders, Tag Access Swimming Pool, Camp Summit, and Sponsorship Science, a sports marketing agency in the US. What I did, especially in the second and third year, is every past employee that I'd worked with, or if I was working with an organisation, either voluntary or working, and I found something really particularly interesting about that business, I incorporated that into my academic work. So, a critical analysis of evaluating performance within Camp Leaders, a financial analysis of Tag Access Swimming Pool, an investigation into the barriers lower-class families with disabled members face in regard to sport and leisure, and a critical analysis into the impact of technological change and the consequent effects on leadership, organisational structure and culture. Now, one of the things that I probably struggled to grasp in the first year was I was picking subjects that I thought would be the right direction, but I didn't really see where I was going with it, or I couldn't ever get to a level deep enough to really have an impact in the paper. However, if you take advantage of the opportunities and the past employers, that type of thing, you can add an extra layer that other people just simply can't. You can get the inside knowledge from the businesses, and then you can incorporate that into your academic work. And my final one, my dissertation, which I worked with Casey with, bringing social media to NASCAR, the impact of social media strategy and the effects of sponsorship activation. You're probably thinking, NASCAR, what on earth is he talking about NASCAR for? But throughout, I did a gap year in between my second and third year and worked for a company out there. And because of the people I was working with, I used all of my clients across the sports marketing agency industry in NASCAR, in IndyCar, motorsports in general. So I worked with companies like Toyota, Michael Waltrip Racing, and this one is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the largest sporting venue in the world, and I was interviewing people like the head of the commercial department there, the head of the racing commercial side of things in Toyota. Now, if you can get to a point when in your third year, you can write a dissertation on something you are, first of all, really interested in, and you have access to either fantastic resources, contacts, this is where you will really be able to bring them grades up and add an extra layer to your academic work. My general advice to students to prepare for employment are to really take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there while at university. If you can actually start working within organisations while at university, either by volunteering or working part-time with organisations, it'll really get you in the mindset of what the industry expects from you when you graduate. You can actually see people, see contacts of yours in the organisations, what you want to be in the future, which means that if you see what they have right now, what skill sets they have, you can really develop that over your time at university in preparation for that job opportunity when it arises upon your graduation.